Doug Flynn, certified financial planner, co-founder, Flynn Zito Capital Management, joins us on that. So I guess that's the headline of the day. We might get some rate cuts. I saw maybe 3 next year. Take us through what we heard from Jay Powell and company this afternoon.
Yeah, it seems like they're stating that inflation has definitely eased, which they use the words, and they mentioned the words cutting rates, which is amazing. So it feels like the Fed has moved toward what the market has been looking for and sort of banking on. And so, but with that move, you get that confirmation that you've been right, and hence the rally. And it was a rally in both stocks and bonds. If you look at the 10-year Treasury, we bounced up to 4, down to 4%. So we're just above 4. If you remember, it wasn't that long ago that was 5%.
Yep.
So that helps a lot when it comes to mortgage rates. Those things are going to get lowered along with their decrease in interest rates that they're planning for next year. So all good news.
Even before it came out, I was going to ask you about, inflation, or I guess disinflation in some of these important categories. I was looking at some data earlier that, energy prices, which we've had, a conversation about a number of times, rents, people renting apartments and houses, that they're starting to come down. So the direction on all of that is the right direction, right?
It definitely is. And, they're trying to balance making sure that they don't, because if they kept rates up too much and they press too much on the economy, then you're going to run into a recession. So they're trying to avoid that. So how can they slow things down, get everything moving the way they want to, and avoid a recession? If they can pull that off, that will be nothing short of amazing, because they tend to not be able to, they tend to overdo things on both sides.
Right.
So we'll see how it plays out, but it's going in the right direction. That's what the market was looking for, and it's getting exactly what it's been looking for, and that's why we've had this great rally.
Yeah, and it continued today. Again, more than 500 points on the Dow is what we saw there in those closing numbers a few minutes ago. What about Tesla? Let's talk about that story for a moment. So Tesla recalls over 2 million vehicles to fix a defective autopilot monitoring system. So, it's like all their cars, right? Is this a big deal, or because it's Tesla, they just give you a little software upgrade and you're off to the races and it's not such a big deal? What's your take?
It's funny, and it is almost all their cars. But that's when you hear recall. I don't know about you, but when I hear recall, I think I've got to take my car into the car dealer and then wait, and then all of that. But Tesla's recall is exactly what you said. It's a software update that they'll just do for you, and then they'll send you a notice that they did it. So we can call it a recall because technically it is, but the inconvenience factor is virtually zero. But really what this gets down to is that the auto pilot feature and the full self-driving modes that they charged people $6,000 or $12,000 extra for. Most people have said these things don't work like they should. The government has said that this has been involved in more than 1,000 accidents and several fatalities. So they're going to scale back the ability to use it from the standpoint of you have to show that you're still paying attention. So it's probably not a bad thing. They're going to check in with you, the car that is, and make sure, hey, are you able to take over this at any moment if suddenly the road isn't what we think it is based on our computer? And when it is, you need to be able to come right back on. And if you can't show that you're paying enough attention, they're going to disengage. And so that means they'll either pull over or slow down or whatever it'll have to be. So you just have to show that you're more involved. So that's the update that's going to happen. And so hopefully that'll be less crashes.
Yeah, right. I think, which we're all in favor of. You see a guy driving a Tesla around that is actually paying attention, even if the car's doing the driving for him or her. The other thing, this is kind of a big topic for anybody who works. Where do you work? We even in our staff, some people work from home, other people are here in the office. So Boeing made, which is obviously a huge company, an interesting course correction on this. Boeing is reversing its policy. It's had a hybrid policy and now requiring thousands of workers to return to the office full time. Is this part of a larger trend you're seeing from big companies like this? And, are we going back to the old days completely, or is hybrid here to stay? How would you read it?
Yeah, during COVID, we hit about 37% of the workers had somebody working from home. Now that's down to about 26%. I do think it's part of a larger trend. More and more companies would like to do what Boeing is doing here, and they're looking to other companies to see how they fare. They're getting resistance. Employees want bonuses and other things to come back to the office. I don't know that they're going to get all of that, but I do think that you're going to see it go along this trend. Now, I don't think we go all the way back, because what we've proved is that there are some jobs that absolutely can be done from home, and some people are even more productive from home. So I think we continue down with more people going back to work, and there'll always be it'll be part of what we do, but it won't be like everybody's doing it. That's the way it seems.
Final thing, I love to work at a sports story with you, but this is sports business and a lot of money on the line related, because the teams in Washington, Wizards and Capitals, basketball and hockey, the owners moving the team, the plan is at least, to Northern Virginia. So Virginia's happy about that, obviously. People in D.C. are not, and they're trying to put together a last-minute plan that doesn't seem like it'll work to keep them. But what about the importance of sports franchises like this to certain areas, cities, and suburbs? What do you think?
It is. I mean, we've seen it in New York with the Giants and Jets going to New Jersey. You see these things happen. So this is like that. I think you have the downtown area of Washington, D.C., which is going to get hurt. I mean, they already have a problem with vacant stores and crime. And so they're saying, hey, we can put you right over here, right over the border. Everybody local will still be able to come. And now they're going to make it an even better experience. So how do you compete with that? And for the state of Virginia, they'll put in about $2 billion or whatever the number is, and they'll make many, many, many times over that. So it's just business. It's competition between states and cities, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But maybe if they would have done a better job of keeping them where they need to keep them and doing what they need to do, then they wouldn't lose them. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique area in some ways, being the District of Columbia being so small and having Maryland and Virginia around it. The Commanders fans, the football team, they know this as well. They don't play in the district either. So, yeah, just more of the same. Doug, good to see you. Thank you very much as always. Doug Flynn.